Hello everybody and welcome back to Certified Collectibles. This is another episode of First Appearance of the Week. This is Wednesday, November 19th, 2025. We'll be giving you all the first appearance in your comic shops today. This week we got a very short video for you guys. I think we'll only have one first appearance, 3 honorable mentions, so only 4 titles to go through, but there's definitely some in there to consider for your collection. So let's go ahead and get started for the first appearance of the week, beginning November 21st, 2025. First up from Marvel Comics, Amazing Spider-Man number 16. This features a possible first cameo appearance of Nicodemo the Seer. Now, I always tell you guys, with any of these possible first appearances or possible first cameo appearances, you definitely want to get confirmation before you pick these books up. If it is indeed not the first full appearance or the first cameo appearance, then you can skip these. They probably won't be all that important. With that being said, though, this here is the Spider-Man title, and this here is the Amazing Spider-Man title, which is the tentpole series for the Spider-Man universe. So even if there's a possibility of a first appearance or a first cameo appearance in this particular issue, it's probably worth picking up. I always recommend picking up the first appearance of new characters in any Spider-Man title. You know, Spider-Man, the most popular, most heavy collector franchise for Marvel Comics. So anytime they introduce a new character, those are books you definitely want to own. Now this here is the first cameo, or the possible first cameo of this Nicodemo the Seer. We don't really know anything about this character at this time. But like I said, anytime they introduce a new character into the Spider-Man universe, these are books you do want to pick up. You know, they're still churning out a ton of feature films, a ton of animated series for the Spider-Man universe. And if they bring this character onto the screen, whether small screen or big screen, collectors are definitely going to race back and try to find this first appearance. And if this here is indeed the first cameo appearance, this is one you do want to own. Like I said, you may want to get confirmation that this here is indeed the first cameo, but in my opinion, it's probably worth the gamble just to pick this up anyway. So grab this here for your collection. And now for the honorable mentions. From Marvel Comics, Star Wars Jedi Knights number 9. This features the origin of Corliss Roth. Now, like I always tell you guys about these origin stories, they're definitely not as highly collected or highly sought after as first appearances. Unless it's a really important character, a fan favorite character, then you should definitely consider the origin as well. But this here is the origin of Corliss Roth. Don't really know much about that particular character. Don't really know how important that character is to the Star Wars universe overall. So the fact that they're presenting the origin story in this particular issue, you know, it may not be all that important. But you know, this is a Marvel published Star Wars title, and I do always recommend picking up the first appearance in these titles and the origins of important characters. Like I said, don't really know the importance of this particular character at this point, but if the character becomes important in the future, you'll probably wish you had this book. So this one here is going to be a little bit more speculative, but my opinion is probably worth specking on. You know, these books are $4 or $5. If you pick this up, it goes nowhere. You're out a few dollars. But you know, if this character becomes important, goes somewhere, becomes a big fan favorite character in the future, or important to the overall Star Wars universe, you definitely want to have this in your collection. In my opinion, it's worth the spec. Go ahead and grab this here for a spec if you can. Next up from Image Comics, Final Boss number 1. Trying to forge a new path, Tommy uses his newfound powers for various paid enforcer gigs and street fights, only to uncover a past far more complex than he ever imagined. Now, we'll put this on the list because this sounds easily translatable to the screen, whether small screen or big screen, and Image Comics has had a lot of their titles picked up an option in the past. Like I always tell you guys, just being option alone is enough to drive the price up in the secondary market. These titles don't actually have to make it to the screen. Just being option alone is enough to get collector interest in these titles. So this one here, like I said, sounds like it can make a great TV show, streaming series, or feature film. Definitely going to be speculative, but in my opinion, probably worth the spec. I mentioned this before, I always like to spec on these small press and indie publishers because a lot of people don't pick these books up off the shelf. So if these go big, if they do get optioned, they do hit the screen, a lot of people don't own these books. They race back to the second market and the price skyrockets on these. So in my opinion, these are always great specs. Grab this here for a spec if you can. And finally from Dark Horse, John le Carre's The Circus, Losing Control number 1. When the enigmatic head of British intelligence vanishes without a trace, his assistant Maggie must navigate a maze of secrets, lies, and looming disaster alone, before a critical mission unravels and the circus collapses from within. Once again, we'll put this on the list because this sounds like a great streaming series or feature film, and Dark Horse has had a lot of their titles pick up an option in the past. This here will definitely be speculative if you choose to pick it up, because you are specking on this getting option, getting a lot more eyes and attention on this title, and having collectors race back to the secondary market to find this book. Like I just mentioned, I love specking on these small press and indie publishers. I think they're great specs. Print runs are pretty small, a lot of retailers don't carry them, so access is limited, and a lot of collectors don't pick them up off the shelf. There's a lot of key drivers in these books. If they do go big, they blow up. If they don't, they go nowhere, you're out a few dollars. Another great spec in my opinion. Grab this here for a spec if you can. So there you have the 4 titles we have for you guys this week. Very short week, but definitely some books to consider for your collection. So please feel free to drop some comments in the comment section below. Thumbs up if you like this video. And as always, please remember to subscribe to the channel for more videos like this. Thank you for joining us here at Certified Collectibles, and we'll see you again next time.